Today's Parenting Great Kids podcast is brought to you by Evelyn and Bobby's Intimates. Evelyn and Bobby's women-led intimates company creates beautiful, purposeful products to make women's lives better. They've created the best underwear ever, combining unique softness with smooth, flat seams that offer a fit so comfortable you'll forget you're wearing them. Evelyn and Bobby comes in 3 silhouettes and one size that fits many with 4-way stretch that moves with you. Visit EvelynBobby.com and use code MEG to get a free pair of knickers with any purchase. That's a $28 value only when you use code MEG at EvelynBobby.com. That's EvelynBobby.com. And by Build a Bear Workshop. Make birthday memories that will last a lifetime at Build a Bear Workshop. During their birthday month, kids get to count their candles before making their own birthday treat bear. The birthday treat bear is made just for birthdays and only costs as much as the age you're celebrating. If your child's turning 5, the birthday treat bear only costs $5. That's pretty cool. Visit Build-A-Bear.com to become a bonus club member for free and learn more about all the fun ways to celebrate birthdays at Build a Bear Workshop. For 30 plus years, I've seen every type of child grow up.
Instead of giving me what I wanted, she gave me what I needed, which was truth.
Don't let emotions win. Let truth win.
Do your very best, and you should have a lot of fun while you do it. And the better you get at something, the more fun you're going to have at something.
You moms and dads are wired with everything you need to be a parent to a great kid. Welcome to Parenting Great Kids. This is episode number 66, and I'm your host, Dr. Meg Meeker. Today, we're going to be talking about gender identity issues. It's the part 2 of an interview I did with Dr. Leonard Sax. If you missed the first part of this discussion, you can simply go back to megmeekermd.com/podcast. There you can find the first part of this interview, which I highly recommend you listen to. You can also find any other podcasts from the past that you may have missed. Once again, go to megmeekermd.com/podcasts. Now, before we get into our show today, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest, Dr. Leonard Sax. Dr. Sax graduated Phi Beta Kappa from MIT in January 1980 at the age of 19. He then went on to the University of Pennsylvania, where he earned both a PhD in psychology and an MD. He's authored numerous books: Why Gender Matters, Boys Adrift, Girls on the Edge, and The Collapse of Parenting. He is also a highly sought-after speaker. He has appeared on the Today Show, CNN, NPR, PBS, Fox News, and many other national and international media programs. He lives in Chester County, Pennsylvania. As always, I'll share my points to ponder for you to start using right away. And parents, remember, don't just download episodes, click subscribe. When you do that, you're joining my parenting revolution, and every new episode will show up in your subscribe list. I promise you won't regret it. And please, I'd love for you to write a review on iTunes. Also, not only are we on iTunes, but the Parenting Great Kids podcast is also available in the Google Play Store and on Stitcher. So, no matter where you get your podcast, subscribe today and don't miss a single episode. Parents, do you get sick and tired of hearing your kids argue? Maybe of not listening to you or sort of being out of control? Do you feel that sometimes life at home is out of control? Well, I can help. I have my brand new Discipline with Courage and Kindness course on my website. Check it out. I think you're going to love it. So parents, thanks for listening. This is episode number 66. Stay with us. And now, on to my points to ponder. 1. If your young child struggles with true gender dysphoria or says that he or she is living in the wrong body, act slowly. Having a young child undergo a sex change is serious business. It requires hormone alterations and renders a child infertile. So before you act on any gender change, be 100% certain that your child is truly transgender. And remember, true transgender kids are extremely rare. 2, studies show that gender changes may not help transgender persons in the long run. Our goal in medicine is to treat patients with medicine or other plans that will reliably produce an outcome repeatedly. If the same treatment yields varying results in patients, then it's not wise to use. This is true as sex changes for transgender persons. As Dr. Sax illuminated, many who stay true to their genetic identity through adolescence end up ultimately identifying with their genetic identity. And those who have undergone sex changes are at a much higher risk for suicide. So we've really got to take things slowly when it comes to kids. 3, support your child, but do not persuade him to change genders. The truth is, many parents jump to the conclusion that their child is transgender if the child shows an interest in living as the opposite sex. And sometimes if they're just interested in the opposite sex, dressing like them, playing with their toys, pretending they're a boy when they're really a girl, and vice versa. Sometimes this is just a phase that kids go through. So never pressure your son or daughter to undergo transition. Unfortunately, there are physicians who will respond to parental pressure, and this isn't fair to kids. I want you now to listen in on a conversation I had with Dr. Leonard Sax. I know you're really going to enjoy it. You know, we hear a lot about medical clinics, and I know there are a number around the country that are performing gender reassignment on children and teens. What do studies show about the outcome of gender reassignment?
Well, this is where I really get upset, because you're quite right. You now encounter board-certified medical doctors who ought to know better. And parents go to the doctor and say, my 6-year-old son says he's a girl trapped in the body of a boy. And this specialist says, okay, let's change his name to Emily and send him to school in a dress. That's not evidence-based. That contradicts the evidence. Again, Dr. Zucker said, look, you're not doing this kid any favors by putting them in a dress and changing their name to Emily. You're going to make it harder for this boy to figure out who he is. Mm-hmm. Okay, he doesn't want to play football. He wants to study ballet. Fine. He can sign up for ballet, but he will study ballet as a boy, not as a girl. Wait until he's well into puberty, is what Dr. Zucker says, because once puberty hits, everything changes. And many of these boys figure out very quickly what they are. And likewise for the girl. This girl who said she was a boy, trapped in the body of a girl, puberty hits and boom, everything changes. And suddenly she's really interested in boys. And she has no more doubts that she is a girl. Gender identity is... And this is, again, one of the points I make in my book, Why Gender Matters, which is really a surprise. But it turns out that gender identity is much more fluid than anybody would have guessed. The prepubescent child, I mean, it's common for 3-year-olds to think that they can change their gender. It's common for a 3-year-old to think, a girl might say, oh, I can't cut my hair off or I'll become a boy. Or a boy will think, if I grow my hair long, do I get to be a girl? They don't understand that whether you're male or female is fixed. And
well, there's a lot they don't understand.
Well, there's a lot they don't understand.
I mean, there's very little they do understand, and that's why I just find it remarkable that if a young child says, I want to be a boy or I want to be a girl, but they don't know what they want for dinner and they don't know what they like to play. They don't know anything.
This is why I think some of our current medical doctors, unfortunately, are psychotic. And I use that term quite specifically in the sense of they are detached from reality. Look, we would not allow a 6-year-old to consent to a surgical procedure like an appendectomy.
Mm-hmm.
We would require the consent of a parent or guardian. We would certainly not allow a 6-year-old to consent to elective surgery. And yet, on the basis of a comment made by a 6-year-old, we now have adults who are saying, okay, let's dress this boy in a dress and let's change his name to Emily and let's tell everyone to refer to him as a girl. It's truly psychotic. It is detached from reality. And when I speak to parents about this, I often begin with Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. It doesn't say black and white, he created them. It doesn't say Asian and Hispanic, he created them. Whether you're white or black, Asian or Hispanic, that is substantially man-made. Those are creations of culture. But whether you are male or female, that is of God. That is hardwired. And people will say, no, it's not man-made. I say, look, if you have one African American parent and 3 white parents, our culture considers you black. There's nothing logical about that. That is a cultural construct. Tiger Woods got a lot of pushback from the African American community because for many years he refused to be identified as black. He said, look, I have 4 grandparents, one of whom is black. The other 3 are not. So why should I identify with one of those 4 communities and not the other 4?
Right.
White and black, Asian and Hispanic are social constructions. Cultures have constructed them differently. Look, 100 years ago, Jews were not considered white people. Those cultural constructs change, but male and female do not change. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. Those are hardwired. So
do you ever advocate for or believe in gender reassignment when a person is not an adult? As many physicians around the country are doing. And I'll tell you, I think this is medical history because I've never seen in my lifetime serious medical treatment given to a patient with a non-proven outcome. I mean, it would be like us throwing any antibiotic at somebody who has pneumonia and going, well, it may work, it may not work, but good luck. Yeah. But because we're talking in gender reassignment, and parents need to understand when you gender reassign a child, you are rendering them infertile. So we're literally castrating young boys. And I just think this is an abomination. But are there any times from that you feel gender reassignment during childhood is warranted?
Not for any individual under 18. But, if you read the articles written by the advocates, including medical doctors, they like to use the word pioneer. They say this individual is a pioneer. A better word would be guinea pig. Guinea pig. This poor kid is a guinea pig that the grown-ups are experimenting on with no awareness. So in my own office, I recently had an individual who was born female, but insists that she is a boy trapped in the body of a girl. And so this teenager, who has not undergone sex reassignment surgery, is getting birth control pills to suppress her periods, as well as injections of testosterone to masculinize him. Now, how much research is there on what happens when you give a teenager both female hormones and male hormones at the same time? Well, I looked because I am now supposed to provide medical care for this individual coming to me with medications prescribed by a board-certified pediatric endocrinologist, and I'm supposed to address their medical issues unrelated to their gender issues. And so I looked up to see what research is there. There is not one scholarly paper on the effects of giving oral contraceptive, i.e. female hormones, alongside high-dose male testosterone. This kid is a guinea pig. This kid is being experimented on. Now, the fact that this child has consented, look, a 13-year-old cannot consent to, or should not be able to consent without the parent or guardian. Well, the parent or guardian consents, but they're hopelessly confused. These kids are guinea pigs. This is not even a study. This kid is not participating in a study. They're being experimented on because this girl is convinced that she's a boy. And it's really quite scary.
This is really serious business, too. It's not like, giving somebody Tylenol every day for a year, which is dangerous because they might have febrile seizures. I mean, this is really serious stuff. Plus, if I'm understanding what you said earlier in the program, the majority of kids who have gender dysphoria in their 20s identify as their genetic sex, the majority of them. And so they may go through a time where they feel like they're a girl trapped in a boy's body or a boy in a girl's body. But if you let their biology just sort of work itself out, you're saying that the majority self-identify with their genetic identity. Is that correct?
Yes. The great majority will identify with whether they were male or female at birth. That's what they will identify as adults. That is true for both girls who believe they're boys at a young age and boys who believe they're girls at a young age. And what's ironic is that a lot of these people pushing transgender rights, etc., there's definitely an element of homophobia there, meaning that they don't like homosexuals. And let me be very specific about what I mean. Dr. Zucker has documented this. So he's working with this boy who insists that he's a girl trapped in the body of a boy. Well, it turns out that this boy heard his father say, "I'd rather my son be dead than be gay." Well, if a boy hears that, he doesn't want to disappoint his father. He doesn't want to be gay. But hey, if I'm actually a girl, that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay. And increasingly, researchers like Kenneth Zucker are documenting that that's another part of what is driving this, that this girl will tell you she hates lesbians. She would never be a lesbian, but she's a boy trapped in the body of a girl. That she's okay with. She has some internal homophobia. Well, it's not that internal. She's very articulate about it. She hates lesbians. Mm-hmm. This girl's telling you she hates lesbians, but she knows that she's a boy trapped in the body of a girl. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's a lesbian who is struggling to come to grips with that.
Parents, I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Dr. Sax. We need to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of my conversation with Dr. Leonard Sax. Support for today's show comes from Rothy's. Rothy's shoes are stylish, sustainable, and comfortable enough for everyday wear anywhere. I will tell you, friends, a couple years ago, my daughter gave me a pair of Rothy's shoes for Christmas. They were the cutest, most comfortable flats I've ever worn. And when she told me they were made from recycled plastic bottles, I couldn't believe it. These shoes are awesome. They make you feel good about what you're doing for the environment, and they are comfortable, and they come in the cutest colors possible. You have to try a pair of Rothy's shoes. Rothy's is the everyday flat for life on the go with 3 fashionable styles: the flat, the point, and the loafer. and an amazing color and pattern selection that's always getting updated. I have the flats and I have the point, and they're both really comfortable. Not to mention they're the softest shoe you'll put on your feet. Seriously, you're not going to believe that these shoes are made from recycled plastic water bottles. A major added bonus, they're machine washable because let's face it, feet sweat. I love my Rothy's, and I know you will too. Right now, Rothy's has an amazing deal for my listeners. Use the code MEG to get free shipping, no minimum. That's free shipping and free returns and exchanges on your Rothy's shoes when you go to Rothy's, ROTHYS.com, and enter MEG. This is a no-brainer. Shoes that are comfortable, stylish, and sustainable, and cute, plus free shipping. Go get yourself a pair today. I'm not kidding. You won't regret it. Rothys.com, promo code MEG. Get this deal while it lasts. Friends, a birthday is a big deal to a kid, and it's a big deal to everyone at Build-A-Bear Workshop, too. At Build-A-Bear, there's special birthday offers and one-of-a-kind experiences so you can make memories that last a lifetime. Their interactive Count Your Candles offer is a way to make a special birthday memory while also saving on a classic Build-A-Bear furry friend. During their birthday month, kids get to count their own candles before making their birthday treat bear. The birthday treat bear is a teddy bear made just for birthdays that only costs as much as the age you're celebrating. So if your child's turning 5, the birthday treat bear only costs $5. When a child celebrates their birthday at Build-A-Bear Workshop, they get the full Build-A-Bear experience plus a special birthday heart ceremony, birthday party hat, happy birthday song, and more. And these are so cute. My kids built bears all the time when they were younger. Visit Build-A-Bear.com for more details on the Count Your Candles offer and all the fun ways to celebrate birthdays at Build-A-Bear Workshop. This offer is only valid in stores for Bonus Club members. Create an account in stores or online to join the Bonus Club for free. So what happens psychologically to a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old who comes to mom and dad and says, I'm a boy trapped in a girl's body, or girl trapped in a boy's body. And that parent goes, yup, you may be trans. What psychologically happens in that child's mind?
Well, confusion. A lot of bad things start to happen, and it's going to get worse because initially, everything may go swimmingly. Everything may go great, and this boy may seem to be very happy that he gets to go to school as a girl and wear dresses and be called Emily. That the problems arise when he hits puberty, because now he's really confused. And I cite the story of David Reimer, which I think is immensely important. Yeah. So David Reimer was a twin boy. He and his twin brother were born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and their parents wanted them to be circumcised. But the obstetrician who was supposed to do the circumcision was busy doing a delivery. So they called the house officer. Turns out the house officer didn't know how to do a circumcision. Mm-hmm. And a better doctor would have said, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this. I can't do it. I have to call somebody else. But unfortunately, some doctors are arrogant and ignorant, and that's a bad combination. But this was one of those doctors. And he said, well, I'm a doctor. I can figure it out. And he told the nurse to get him a Bovie cautery, the cautery device that you use in surgery to burn away tissue. And the nurse erred. She should have said, are you out of your mind? Get the heck out of here. You got no business. You never do a circumcision with a cautery.
No.
Use cold steel. Well, the nurse got him the cautery, and he turned it up to the highest setting and applied it to the boy's penis. And witnesses in the room said the boy's penis sizzled like a sausage on a hot griddle and turned black. And the next day it fell off. So now you have a boy with no penis. And the parents said, oh, you know what? We don't want our other son to be circumcised. We changed our mind.
I would guess so.
They got a large settlement, malpractice settlement for the hospital, and went to Johns Hopkins and met with Dr. John Money, who was considered the world's leading expert at that time on gender. And Dr. Money told them gender is just a social construct. But a penis, now that's something really important. And your son doesn't have a penis, so let's raise him as a girl. Nobody will ever know. I want you to move away, move to somewhere where no one's ever seen him before. We're going to call him Brenda. And only have Brenda wear dresses and everything's going to be great. And Dr. Money proceeded to publish a series of papers about how wonderful this was going. And Brenda talked in a quiet voice and loved to play dolls with her mommy and only wanted dolls and dresses for Christmas, whereas her identical twin brother was all boy and wanted to roll in the mud and hit people. And I read these papers as a graduate student in psychology in the early 1980s. And I remember thinking, wow, gender really is just a social construct. If you can sizzle off a boy's penis, castrate him, which they also did. They removed his testicles after Dr. Money made this recommendation. Put him in a dress and give him a girl's name, and poof, he is now she, and a happy, contented girl. And we'll skip the whole story, which I describe at greater length in my book, Why Gender Matters. But Dr. Money was lying. And it had gone okay until this individual named Brenda hit puberty. And then it really went downhill because Brenda realized she's attracted to girls. And she starts hitting people with a closed fist. It's unusual for a girl to strike another girl with a closed fist to the face. But that's what Brenda was doing. And other people started calling her Gorilla Woman. And she was suspended from one school. They moved her to a different school. She was suspended again. And then she tried to commit suicide. And her father took her out for a drive and said, your mother and I think it's time to tell you something we've never told you before, which is you were born a boy. A doctor in Baltimore told us we should raise you as a girl, and we always have. But you were born a boy. And that's why we've been giving you these injections of female hormones. During the car ride, without hesitation, Brenda demanded reassignment to the male sex, demanded and chose the name David before they even got home, had chosen the name David because she felt that her life had been a David versus Goliath battle. And I dedicated the first edition of my book, Why Gender Matters, to David Reimer because he committed suicide as a young adult. It does great harm to raise a kid the wrong way. And the scars that are inflicted are never healed. And David Reimer, when the story came out, he went public. He said, I don't want any other child to suffer as I suffered. The lesson of the story of David Reimer is you are born male or female. And if you try to change that, in the great majority of cases, you are going to do great harm. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them.
Talk about the incidence or prevalence of depression in young adults who have undergone gender reassignment versus those who did not undergo gender reassignment.
So the country that is the world leader in sex reassignment surgery is not the United States, but the Netherlands in Europe, Holland. And they have been studying these individuals for 30 years. So we have long-term follow-up on individuals who 10, 20, 30 years ago underwent sex reassignment surgery. This man has his penis and testicles removed and something like a vagina created where they used to be. We know that these individuals in the longest term follow-up are 19 times more likely to commit suicide after undergoing sex reassignment surgery compared to controls. So the notion that sex reassignment surgery fixes things is false. It's not empirically true. cutting off this man's penis and removing his testicles does not fix the problem. This feeling that I'm in the wrong body persists. And sex reassignment surgery does not fix all these problems. And again, this is one of the great myths of the transgender movement, perpetuated by some of these best-selling books like Becoming Nicole, a book about a boy born Wyatt Maines who transitioned to be a girl, Nicole Maines. And the book explicitly claims that everything will be fixed by the surgery. That's not a true statement. The research does not support that statement. And yet, again, parents read these books, and how are they supposed to know better? They won't know better if they just read Time, the New York Times, and the books of the transgender movement.
It's the Dr. Money story all over.
It is.
You know, if you want something to be true, you make it happen, and then you get very upset if the outcome is not what you wanted.
It's not quite as bad as the Dr. Money story. Dr. Money was lying. I mean, he misrepresented what was actually happening. I think it's more accurate to say that there's some selective blindness going on here, that people are focusing on what they want to hear and disregarding the rest. Well,
and the thing that's upsetting to me is we're dealing with children. And children are so highly suggestible, and they're very naive, and they so rely on getting cues from adults around them. And if the cues they get go against what their instincts tell them, like, I see a boy in my class and his name is Johnny, but today he comes in a dress and his name is Emily, and the teacher says, no, he's not a boy, he's a girl. Then the young child says, I don't have the ability to assess life around me accurately, so something is wrong with me. My teacher couldn't be wrong. So I'm wrong, and something is wrong with me. And I think that the self-doubt created in young children can be just devastating as they get older. I only have time for one more question, and that is this. I get this a lot too. There are many parents of kids who are not gender dysphoric, who are going to school, and child comes home and said, Mommy, my teacher said that Tommy is now Emily. How is a parent to explain that to their second, third grader?
If that were to happen to me as a parent and my daughter came home and said something like that, that would be grounds to switch schools. I would say to my daughter, the teacher and the school are deranged. They're crazy. They are mistaken. And I would be very, very upset with the school because I think the school has transgressed. I send my daughter to school primarily to learn math, science, language arts, social studies, French, and so forth. I am the first teacher. My wife and I are the first teacher for my daughter with regard to morals and sexuality and right and wrong. And I do not want the school undermining my role. It would be nice if the school would reinforce what I'm teaching, but under no circumstances will I allow the school to contradict me with regard to teaching right and wrong. And part of right and wrong is male and female.
Well, this has just been so enlightening. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Dr. Sax, is that everything that you write about and you talk about is backed by solid science. And I think it's so important to look at an issue that's so controversial now in our culture. I mean, there's political overtones, social overtones, religious overtones, and everybody's fighting about it. But to really look at it just from a medical perspective, which is how we should be doing it anyway, I really appreciate that because you really are an expert in this area and, you really know what you're talking about. And so I so appreciate you coming on. How can people read more about your work? And I encourage everybody to read Gender Matters, particularly the second edition. It's fascinating. It's true. It really sheds some, good light and clarity in a very confusing subject. So how can people learn more about you?
Well, you can start with my website. My name is Leonard Sax, last name S-A-X, like saxophone, and the website leonardsax.com. You can find out more about what I'm up to and where I'm going to be speaking, if I'll be speaking near you, and send me an email. The contact is right there on the website.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Leonard. I sure appreciate it.
Thanks again. Good to talk with you.
All right, parents, let's get social. I want to hear from you and interact with you. You can connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have any questions, send it to askmeg@megmeekermd.com. Today, we have a question from Jennifer. Thanks for your wonderful programs. My question today is how to help my 14-year-old daughter make friends at school. She tends to be shy and likes to be by herself, but at the same time feels lonely in the crowd. Well, Jennifer, first of all, I think that it's really important to accept and embrace your daughter for who she is. Shy kids are fine. You know, so many times we see shy kids and we try to get them out of their shell and we sort of say, oh, go talk to this person or talk to that person. Kind of like there's something wrong with being shy. And there really isn't. There's a book called Quiet that's really wonderful. It talks about shy people and introverts. If your daughter is really lonely and wants friends, what I would encourage you to do is invite one friend over to your house to play with your daughter. Or, you know, take your daughter and another friend out to a movie. Take them out to breakfast. Take them out to dinner. You know, introverted kids or shy kids do much better with one-on-one with friends. So it's really important to get her comfortable with one friend or another friend because she may not be comfortable in a group of 5 or 6 or 7 kids. So that's what I would recommend doing. And remember, 14-year-old girls only need a couple of good friends. They don't need 8 friends. You know, just a couple of good friends will really help her through the bumps in life and help her feel secure about herself. But otherwise, I would really just accept her as a shy person and don't make her feel bad about being shy. Thanks for writing. Parents, you know I love answering your questions, so please keep sending them in to me. You can always email me any question to askmeg@megmeekermd.com. That's askmeg@megmeekermd.com. I want to thank my guest, Dr. Leonard Sax. Please check out his website at leonardsax.com. That's Sax with an X. leonardsax.com, and check out his awesome books. Why Gender Matters is really the one we've been talking about today. Let's recap my points to ponder. 1, if your child struggles with true gender dysphoria or says that he or she is living in the wrong body, act slowly. 2, studies show that gender changes may not help transgender persons in the long run. And 3, support your child, but do not persuade him or put pressure on him or her to change genders. So remember, parents, until next time, great kids are raised, not born.
Hey, this is Bobby, producer of Meg Meeker's Parenting Great Kids podcast. We hope you've enjoyed listening to episode 66, Gender Identity Issues, Part 2. And thanks to you, Dr. Meg's Parenting Revolution has grown to over 2 million downloads. You can like Dr. Meeker on Facebook and follow her on Twitter and Instagram at MegMeekerMD. As a reminder, go to MegMeekerMD.com and sign up for her newsletter for giveaway opportunities and updates. And don't forget to share the podcast, write us a review, and click subscribe so you won't miss an episode.